Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude, back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 40, here with my always brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek. Fight Geek, it's the big 4-0, baby, how you doing?
Doing great, man. We're getting old, huh?
Yeah, I mean, if our podcast was a human, it would have dad genes, and it would call its second daughter Sport.
That's what you said. I think we're a little hipper than that, right?
Hopefully. Well, not each of us are the same age, but I digress. All right, guys. So much to discuss today. Here it's on tap for today. First, we're going to dive into a UFC Mexico City recap. What a card that was for many reasons. After that, we're diving into the UFC Copenhagen Preview. And that is not all. We have not one, not two, but three Bellator cards. I'm actually getting anxiety just saying this. We've got Bellator Dublin. We've got Bellator 227, which is in the same building but is a different event. And then we've got Bellator 228 the following day. So we have now, Fight Geek, we have never in the history of the show, we've never had four cards to preview. I'm having an anxiety attack.
Yeah, and we got a lot of good listener questions, so let's get right into it.
Well, and that brings me to the last part. After we preview all of those cards, we're going to do my favorite section, listener questions and more. But, Fight Geek, let me start off the podcast with this question from one of our most loyal listeners, one of my personal favorites, and actually he is far overdue for a shout-out. His name is, of course, Kairos MMA. That's at Kairos MMA, and he's just an extremely charismatic, great guy, breaks down fights, great takes, and he had a very interesting take on the main event of UFC Mexico City. I wanted to read his thoughts to you, and then and they are a little long, but I need to read them all, or I'd be doing him a disservice. And then you just respond, you tell me what you think, okay, Fight Geek?
Yes, please.
And this is what Kairos had to say. He says, I think as a whole, what Yair did was misinterpreted and blown out of proportion. People said he was celebrating by jumping the cage. Why would he celebrate a no contest? He knows that's what's going to happen for eye pokes. He was upset people were throwing stuff, got emotional, so much so that he snapped on Bisping just for touching him. People said he didn't apologize for what he did, when in actuality, in the Octagon interview, he did apologize. He doesn't need to keep apologizing. People were saying he wasn't inferring that Jeremy wasn't hurt on top, of saying he'll have to live with that choice for the rest of his life, but did not hear him say, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Lastly, a lot of people are saying he's going to lose a lot of fans for this, as if a lot is, 9 million people, when MMA Twitter does not have that kind of following. I heard, of course, from Jeremy, Yair was acting like a jerk in the hotel afterwards, and Jeremy snapped on him. I cannot defend Yair for that. He's wrong on that count. But overall, I truly think he was mistreated, and this was blown out of proportion. And Kairos, I wasn't using your exact words all the time. I hope that's okay. Fight Geek, what do you think of that?
Wow, a lot to digest there. But honestly, I agree 100% with his breakdown. I did not think that Yair was celebrating the no contest. I do believe Yair was hit with something. I think it was an incredibly emotionally charged situation, which Yair handled poorly. I don't think anyone can argue otherwise. But I do think there was a lot of misunderstanding of kind of what was transpiring in there. Was it a good look either way? No, it was not. But I do think there was, a little misinformation there.
Okay, I respect that. So this is what I think. I think I've never seen anything like that in the history of the UFC in a UFC arena. A lot of people will point to UFC 229.
True. We haven't seen that.
A lot of people say 229. This was far worse. This was, an almost full-blown riot from the crowd. And this is my quick opinion. I think that Yair, there should be an investigation opened, and hopefully he is cut for his behavior. Now, before everyone rolls their eyes and freaks out, let me just read off every single thing that Yair did on that night. Because it wasn't, I'm not just talking about the eye poke, Fight Geek.
But this is through your eyes. So,
okay, well,
which
you can tell me.
Biased,
you can tell me. What do you mean biased? I'm going to be saying facts. You tell me if it's right or wrong. Blatant double eye brush that even wobbles Jeremy's lower lip. Hits both eyes.
100%. Yes, that happened, but I don't think it was intentional. And people claiming that it's intentional is so immature.
I don't think it was intentional. For the record, I don't.
No, it's a natural reaction for a lot of fighters to parry with their palm open whenever defending strikes. So
it was a very bad eye poke, but it was not intentional. I agree. That, by the way, that was the first of 4. So I'm just getting started.
Okay, so you're 1 for 1. Let's keep it moving.
Prior to the formal decision being announced, which was a no contest, which Yair knew in that moment, Yair defiantly attempts to climb the cage and is quickly grabbed back down by his team. But he is defiantly putting his hand in the air, shouting to the crowd, helping to get them excited and incite a riot as things begin to fall into the cage and around the broadcasters.
And this is where perception starts to become a little different from us because, yes, that scene did happen, but I don't think he was defiantly pounding his fist at the decision. I believe he was hit with something from the outside. It was obviously emotionally charged because the fight was called off.
I didn't see him get hit with anything. I didn't see him get hit.
People were throwing stuff before he got on the cage.
Yeah, I agree.
So the reason he got on the cage was a reaction to people throwing things in the cage, not a reaction to Jeremy not being able to fight anymore, not a reaction to the no contest, an actual reaction to being hit with something, beer, maybe feeling disrespected. Maybe I would definitely say he's emotionally immature in that moment for sure and reacted inappropriately, but I'm not sure that he was defiantly leading the brigade of a riot versus Jeremy Stephens. That's not the way I saw it in real time. That seemed like a narrative that was built by social media, in my opinion.
All right, hold on. Let me just keep going down the list. After formal decision is announced, he does successfully jump onto cage, waves both hands in a sign of victory. Again, this is a no contest due to illegal eye pokes. He is celebrating with both hands in the air on top of the cage. Then he is Mike Bisping goes into the cage to interview him, where he, Bisping is trying to comfort him, saying relax. He angrily shoves his hand off and starts saying punta, punta, punta. I don't know. People are arguing what that means. I know it means something very bad. Swearing at Bisping.
Again, emotionally charged situation.
So inappropriate.
Very inappropriate. Nobody's saying it's not inappropriate, but is it a reason for him to be cut and have an investigation? Absolutely not.
He's lucky Bisping didn't just out of reflex punch him in the face.
No, he's not. Bisping's a professional who's there as a broadcaster. Why would he do that?
Because Yair approached him in a menacing manner, very suddenly screaming.
Approached him? Yair had his back turned to him. Bisping put his hand on his shoulder. At that point, Yair has no idea who it is, especially because the building's on the verge of a riot, as you say. So he has random people touching his back. Yeah, he acted a little immaturely and inappropriately. Is it the end of the world? No, it's not. And a grown-up like Michael Bisping was able to see that.
I think Bisping was calm because he saw Yair get mad and he thought to himself, hi Yair, I'll eat your heart where you're standing while you're still alive and you'll be able to watch me eat your heart as you die.
That's completely irrelevant.
Okay, all right. Hang on, I'm not quite done. Then he's in Yair's now in the broadcast booth where he says that Jeremy Stephens will have to live with this for the rest of his life, insinuating Jeremy was a cheating liar who wanted a way out. This
is not the best look for Yair, but is that a crime for him to insinuate something?
No. It's the volume. It's one on top of another, on top of another,
I understand, but I'm asking you point blank, who cares what he insinuated? We all know what happened.
Yeah, I know, but okay, so here's the final straw for me. It's a good point, because you're right. So far, I don't think any of this altogether warrants what I'm saying, getting cut or a suspension. This was the final straw for me. I believe it's the next morning in the hotel. Yair sees Jeremy and in a friendly manner smiles and waves to Jeremy and approaches
It's
him
not
in the
in
lobby.
a friendly manner. I've seen the video
Bef-
10 times today.
He then
It's not in a friendly manner.
No. You can't see because I saw it too, and Yair's back
But
to the
it's
camera.
certainly in a stern, what's up manner. It's not like, hey, buddy, how are you? You okay? It certainly wasn't like that.
Well, Jeremy thought he was going up to apologize, which is what anyone with half a dose of class would do, of course.
Agreed.
Then Yair demands that Stevens go to a doctor with Yair on the spot.
Nobody heard that.
No. That is definitely what he said. I looked into this. And then, of course, the expletives and the back and forth expletives begin, and Jeremy shoves him. I think that altogether, this is grounds for a dismissal from the UFC. This is behavior detrimental to the organization.
Oh, okay, yeah. Conor McGregor's throwing dollies through windows, and it led to the biggest pay-per-view ever. And now you got this heat between these guys, and you want to cut them, dude? You would be a horrible businessman for the UFC.
Oh, is it good business to incite a riot and potentially get people killed? Is that good business?
Did that happen?
No, but God bless it didn't. How lucky we are.
Brazil disrespects Brazilian people. You don't think that's more grounds for being cut than this?
No, the Brazilians are extremely
being just blatantly racist in another
Don't
country.
make me defend Colt. First of all, do not ever make me defend Colt.
I'm trying to find out where the goal line is here because it seems like you just latch on to narratives and try to bury fighters arbitrarily. Like what? Some you hate, some you love. It makes no sense. Some guys get 2 chances, some guys get no chances.
I thought Yair's So to address it, I thought Yair's behavior was on another level from anything I've ever seen from any UFC fighter in the ring. I'm not talking about Greg Hardy. I'm not talking about the psycho.
Fine. I understand that point, but I want to make this point, and I don't know how familiar with Yair's career you are.
Do you see how condescending he is when he's losing a debate, guys? You don't have to say that when you're losing, brah.
What has Yair shown his whole career, if you've been paying attention?
That he can't do shit when he gets taken down by Frankie Edgar.
No, he's emotional. He's a very emotional young guy. He was emotional with his first wrestling coach, Izzy, and thought he was too hard on him and left him. And then he's been bouncing around from camps to camp, trying to find himself. Yair has shown us that he is a pretty uneven, emotional guy. He took long break after the Edgar fight. He has a hard time committing to some of these fights. Even after he went through hell with the Korean Zombie, he was very emotional after that fight. He was carried out almost in tears. So this is not that outside of the realm for Yair. He's been emotional every step of the way. I just think this was kind of his worst showing, and his emotions really got away from him. I just think it's an immaturity thing. I don't think it's the worst moment in UFC history.
What about the inciting the riot, though? I mean, he incited a riot. People could have been badly hurt.
There was no riot, though. This is a mythical riot.
Did you see the video? Did you see the video of Brendan Fitzgerald hiding under the desk?
And Brendan Fitzgerald is going to have his man card stripped from him for that, too.
Well, that's true. That's actually true, annoyingly.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
that was really embarrassing.
I don't buy into all this stuff, dude. If you're hiding under a table, I mean, come on. Really?
I know. And Bisping's there just, boxing the flying beers. It's hilarious.
Right. I mean, it wasn't that wild, man. I know everybody needed something to talk about, but it really wasn't that wild. Was it a horrible look by the Mexican fans? Yes. But is it the worst thing that's ever happened in the history of MMA? No, it is not. Can we keep it moving, or are you good there?
Yeah. I mean, the last thing I'll say is I totally agree that it was not a good showing from the UFC Mexico City fans, but I think that Yair got them riled up. I think he was very much to blame.
I think he did, but they were certainly. I think the fight before. Okay, here's what riled him up. Brandon Moreno getting a draw, and then Alexa Grasso losing really riled him up.
Yeah.
And then they were like on, DEFCON 10 by the main event, and they were completely. I mean, it was just kind of a perfect mixture for a strange, bizarre night. You know who did have a good night, though, and I want to call him out, is Herb Dean. Controlled the situation like a complete boss.
Good call.
And the UFC security getting the fighters in and out of there completely safe. Jeremy was rushed out. They had him covered up, so at least they did their job in that aspect.
Very good call. Okay, so I think we're ready to move on from the main event, yes?
Please.
All right, women's strawweight. Carla Esparza defeats Alexa Grasso in a very controversial majority decision.
It was a controversial night, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah. It was a very controversial night. How did you score that fight?
I scored it 28-28 draw, which was strange coming off of the draw previous, which I didn't score a draw. We'll get there. But this one I thought was a true draw.
I agree.
Yeah. I had Carla edging the first and second round, and then I think it was a clear 10-8 in the third round. Grasso, she had her out on her feet almost, and then she had a deep submission, so she almost finished her twice in that round. Carla showed a lot of grit and toughness to hold on, but I thought 28-28 would have been perfect justice for that fight.
Totally agree. I thought that Esparza obviously very closely edged the first two. Grasso clearly got the third. I think it was definitely a 10-8. I mean, if that's not a 10-8, what is? And
exactly.
Should have been a draw. Okay, moving on, because this is interesting. Brandon Moreno. I want to say it right. I think that's because I think it's... Is that right?
You put a little pizzazz on it, but yeah, that'll work.
I know, but okay, whatever. Brandon Moreno versus Askar Askarov, a split draw, and I unlike you muting me, I haven't muted you because I'm a nice person, and I think I saw that you were saying that you thought that Brandon won. Is that correct?
Absolutely, 29-28. Obviously a back and forth fight, but I think Moreno did enough to get a 29-28.
I was okay with the split draw. I gotta be honest.
Actually, I'm sorry. I had it 30-27 Moreno.
What?
Sorry. Yeah, I was just looking back at my post. Yeah, I had it 30-27.
Whoa. Really?
Yeah. Well, one of the judges agreed with me.
Yeah. I mean, they're in Mexico City, so...
Well, I mean, he outpaced him the whole time, defended the takedown enough, defended the grappling enough, and then on the feet was giving Askar a lot of problems. I just really thought he controlled that pace. That was the kind of fight that Moreno wants, which is a wild fight with some scrambles. Super fun fight. I didn't see, was this fight of the night or was the Esparza fight?
Oh, man, you always ask me the tough... We don't have an assistant yet. Guys, if you want to donate money to us for like
I feel like
assistant,
the UFC should just do like a social media post where it tells all the weekend, fight of the night, blah, blah, blah.
Oh my gosh, don't get me started. I was just on the UFC page for Copenhagen and half the fights are wrong. I mean, that website's a disgrace.
Yeah, hopefully we got all the right matchups.
Oh, fight of the night was Carla Esparza versus Alexa Grasso. Performance of the night was Steven Peterson and Paul Craig.
Ooh, yeah, Steven Peterson.
Yeah,
okay.
let's jump to that.
All right, let's keep it moving. I just will say this. Irene Aldana put on an absolute striking clinic, definitely.
Mm-hmm. She looked great.
She looks like she has the potential to be a contender in that division, so definitely one to watch. I think this was a great matchup for her to really kind of look good, but I've seen her in the past and always been kind of impressed. She's very tall and lanky striker, has a lot of skills on the feet, so good performance by her.
Yup. All right, we gotta keep it moving.
Spinning back fist by Peterson. What were your thoughts on that fight?
It was a crazy knockout.
Yeah, it was so clean.
Yeah, and Bravo, I felt a little bad for Bravo. He
was winning that fight.
He was winning it. He had his I was gonna say he had his moments, but no, you explained it better. He was winning.
Yeah. Oh, he was winning. Peterson. I mean, his striking defense makes Justin Gaethje look like Muhammad Ali. He gets hit with everything. So Bravo was really getting off on him. And yeah, luckily found the perfect counter spinning back fist. It was amazing. I jumped out of my seat. It was amazing.
Yup. Okay.
So that'll be on the short list for knockouts of the year with Jorge Masvidal, right?
Yeah. And then again, I could be biased because I was there, but really got to call out that Douglas Lima knockout of MVP. I mean, that was just so aesthetically pleasing. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
All right. Okay, all right. So, I'm flying through here. We've got so much to cover, bro.
Yeah, let's just fly through it. Call out what you want.
Sergio Pettis defeats Tyson Nam 30-27 across the board. I thought it was very impressive.
But who did you pick?
I
thought you picked Tyson Nam, right?
I think I may have. Thanks for...
You went with Tyson Nam and Askarov last week. You were just on the hype trains, weren't you?
Oh, wow. You know what's so interesting? I never bury you with your bad picks. You always have to bury me. No, that's fine.
Yeah, never call me out on mine. But, yeah, I had Pettis winning 30-27. He looked great back at his natural weight class. Obviously, if you get into a kickboxing match with a Pettis and let him get loose, it's going to be hard to beat him. I thought this was one of Sergio's best performances I'd seen in a very long time.
Agreed. Light heavyweight Paul Craig defeats Vinicius Moreira, who... Okay, true or false on Moreira? Did he not look like Ariel Helwani? I'm sorry, it was so weird.
Much larger version.
The nose was perfectly Helwani.
He has some resemblance, but I picked Paul Craig, and that was a pretty clean 2 knees to the sub. Great performance by Craig. Obviously, what I would expect from Craig there.
Okay, so wait, hang on. Let's talk about Paul Craig really quickly. I think he is such an enigma. He is such a fascinating creature because every time I think I've figured out his level, he goes and proves me wrong. Sometimes that's with a win, sometimes that's with a loss. I don't get how good or bad he is. What do you think his ceiling is?
Oh, I think we've seen his ceiling.
Me too.
He's a tough guy that can take a lot of damage and is resourceful in finding finishes. That's the way I would say.
Yeah, all right, agreed. Okay,
usually puts on an exciting fight, win, lose, or draw, though, so...
Okay, I think last fight I wanted to touch on was Betch Correa defeats Sarge Eubanks via unanimous decision.
And I'm the opposite here as you last fight. Every time I think I got Sarge figured out, she just performs horribly, so
I'm the same. I picked Sarge.
This was tailor-made for Sarge to beat a name and become a player. And I'm sure that the elevation had a lot to do with it, but hasn't Sarge had weight-cutting problems in the past and cardio problems in almost every single one of her fights where she gasses out? So maybe she's at the wrong weight class. I'm not sure.
But she fought Aspen Ladd so tough.
So?
She's definitely...
I know that's a big barometer of talent for you, but...
She... Do not speak
What does
badly.
this do for Betch Correa? Do you see her as a viable player or just another name for fights on the undercard?
I would just beg her to stop shaking the booty, and I rarely say that kind of comment, but...
Why? Let her do her thing, man.
I wish she wouldn't.
Why you hating?
I normally wouldn't, you know that, but I wish maybe she'd think about that twice. That's all.
All right. Well, who do you want to see next for her off the top of our heads?
That's a tough top of my header. Betch Correa. I don't know. Bantamweight's so weird. That's
125, right? Or 135? Yeah, 135.
Yeah, 135, 135. Do you have someone in mind?
135.
And 135's, their rankings are a little odd.
We could throw her in there with like Juliana Pena. 2 names you recognize on the undercard or prelim.
Yeah, I like that. Does she deserve an Aspen Ladd? No.
No, Aspen Ladd needs to go to 145, remember?
Stop it.
Yeah. All right.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't. I disagree.
Well, that's not one of the questions tonight.
Oh.
Let's keep it moving.
Okay.
All right. You want to hop into UFC Copenhagen or what?
Let's do it. All right, moving on to UFC Copenhagen. Okay, all right.
I'll ask you, who do you got in the main event?
Yeah, what a great main event for diehard fans. And I mean that. At first when this bout was announced, I won't lie, I was a little annoyed. I thought, Jared Cannonier, he doesn't deserve this fight against the Joker. Let's not forget everyone mocking me, laughing at me when I said Jack the Joker Hermanson was going to beat Jacare. I got so much hate. And then lo and behold, the Joker comes out the winner.
My question is, how do you go from Jacare to Cannonier, though?
I mean, it was a step. According to Jack,
it's like 4 steps back.
Well, according to Jack, they were going hard for Gastelum, and it sounds like Gastelum was actually very classy and went so far as to call Jack and basically say in so many words, "I apologize. I'm down for the fight, but I can't do it that soon." Blah 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 blah. Do you want to do it later? And Jack, wanted to do obviously headline Denmark.
Okay, well, that settles it then. So your pick is?
But Cannonier is a very dangerous fighter, and it's crazy to, you can't just overlook him. I mean, he's done a lot of...
He's a former heavyweight.
He's a former heavyweight. I mean, he basically what? I mean, he's like killed Anderson Silva. Is Anderson Silva, like, still alive from that fight?
Well, it was a leg injury, I think. Yeah.
So
what is your prediction?
It's Jack Hermanson via submission in the second round.
All right. Well, everyone thinks we agree too much, but this is, it is what it is. I got Jack Hermanson via submission. I'm going to say a late submission. He'll outlast the cardio of Cannonier. 4th round submission by Jack Hermanson.
All right. I like it. Moving on, we've got, and I'll fly through these again, Mark Madsen versus Danilo Belliardo.
Okay. I'm going with Mark Madsen. I think he's making his UFC debut. He's an undefeated wrestler with a lot of credentials, so I'm going to take him there.
I am as well. I don't know why that's the co-main with a bunch of other decent fights on the card, but that's okay. I'm taking Madsen as well.
I'm not positive, but I believe he's an Olympian from that area. That's why.
Okay, that could be right. Next, welterweight, underrated fight. Gunnar Nelson versus Gilbert Burns.
And this should have been the co-main, honestly.
Of course
just
it should
on
have
name
been.
value.
Of
and this
course.
is going to be an interesting fight because Gunnar Nelson has struggled recently. Gilbert Burns has actually improved recently. I'm taking Gunnar Nelson here via 3rd round submission.
I think that this fight is...
Fight of the night contender for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's also a winner go home fight for Gunnar Nelson. I mean, this is gut check times 10 for Gunnar Nelson. Okay, he has been he's been like Michael Johnson minus the early success, and I know that sounds harsh.
He's been he's almost like a Gustafsson in a way.
He's so much more disappointing. That's very hard.
He takes long breaks in between, losses. So I just meant in that way.
Been a lot more underwhelming than Gustafsson, though.
Well, right? Gustafsson challenged for a title. I just mean kind of how quiet they are, and then when they lose, they kind of disappear for a while. But, yeah, I think this is a chance for Gunnar to get back on track. Gilbert Burns, most of the time, doesn't have the cardio to go full speed the whole time. And I think that once he gets a little tired, if Gunnar can survive, and I'm betting that he will, he'll get him to the later rounds, wear him out, and then Gunnar's submission game is deadly.
Yeah, you know what? I was so tempted to go with Gunnar, but I've just been so underwhelmed time after time with him. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me... No. I screwed it up already. You know what I'm trying to say. I got Gilbert Burns by unanimous decision, baby.
Really? Interesting. Okay, we disagree there. Hashtag split decision.
Decision, exactly.
All right, what's the next one?
Ian Cutelaba versus Khalil Roundtree Jr., another underrated fight.
Banger. This is going to be a banger.
Okay,
so,
wait. Should I go first? Didn't you go first?
Sure, go ahead.
I got Khalil Roundtree Jr. via 3rd round TKO.
Dang, I thought I was going to be tricky taking Khalil Roundtree this one. I'm a huge Ian Cutelaba fan, and this is going to be a banger. Either guy can get stopped, but I just think that the improvements in Roundtree are going to be enough to get his hands on Cutelaba enough, and I don't think he's going to finish Cutelaba. I think it's going to be a split decision
for Roundtree. Okay.
Yes.
All right, cool. Then we've got, this is an interesting one. This is an up-and-comer. This is another light heavyweight fight. Mikhail Aleksyuk. And apologies, guys, if I mispronounce. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing this. I think it's Mikhail Aleksyuk versus OSP, Ovince St. Preux. Who you got?
I'm taking OSP to bounce back here. He's quite a bit bigger than McCall, I think is his name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's obviously faced a lot more super-duper high-level talent in that division. He's coming off a few losses, so this is a do-or-die for Ovince St. Preux. You're talking about a guy like Gunnar Nelson maybe getting his walking papers. A guy like Ovince St. Preux, who's been in 205, had his shots at the title, been a contender. Now that 205 is kind of replenishing the talent. If he's on a 4-fight losing streak, he may be in Bellator in 3 months. So he needs to win this badly.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I agree, and I'm also taking OSP. I'm taking OSP by unanimous decision.
I'm going to take OSP via... I'm going to say he gets one of his wacky submissions via second-round submission.
Okay. You know, this McCall kid is pretty good. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with him. But like I said, I always kind of put everything into the equation. And a guy like OSP right now, back is against the wall, career is at a crossroads, has a winnable fight in front of him, has faced tons of high-level competition. I mean, this is do or die for him. So I'm going to put my money on OSP in that situation.
Agreed. And then last fight of the main card, and then I've just got two on the prelims I wanted to cover, unless you've got others. Nicholas Dalby versus Alex Cowboy Oliveira. He's back.
This should be another action-packed, wacky fight.
Yup.
Love me some Cowboy Oliveira. Gonna roll with Cowboy Oliveira here. I just think that he's a little more talented, a little more seasoned than Dalby. Fought a few more high-level guys. So I'm going to take Cowboy Oliveira versus first-round knockout in a wild one.
First round, the disrespect. Oh, the disrespect.
Well, usually Cowboy comes in real hot, so...
I'm going to be honest, I was so tempted to choose Dalby in this because, you know, he's got, I think he's like 17-3-1 or something like that. He's extremely talented. But I believe this is his first UFC fight, isn't it? Isn't he coming from... I think he's coming from Cage Warriors. He was at the UFC, then he returned, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I remember him from a while ago. What was that, like 4 years ago or something?
Yeah, it was from back in... His last UFC fight was a loss to Peter Sabata at UFC Fight Night Arlovsky Barnett, September 3rd, 2016. Then he went to Cage Warriors for 5 fights.
So this is a big step back into competition versus a very dangerous guy in Cowboy Oliveira.
Yep, I'm going to take Cowboy Oliveira, and I'm going to take him by second-round stoppage.
Cool.
All right, so with the prelims, I don't want to cover all of them, but I really wanted to quickly cover Lena Landsberg versus Macy Chiasson in a women's bantamweight fight. Listen, I think Chiasson is really good. That's the truth. I'm really high on her, and
she's still young in the game. She's only 5-0. She won the Ultimate Fighter, so I agree. I think she has contender potential for sure.
Yeah. Wait, is it my turn to go or yours?
Well, just make your pick.
I got Chiasson by TKO in the second.
She's gonna TKO a striking champion like Lena Landsberg.
Yeah, that's correct. That's what I just said, I think. So.
No, she's going to win a decision. I'm going to take her via split decision, Macy Chiasson.
You know we're being over-dramatic when we're arguing about how they're going to win. Okay, fair. And then,
I just don't think she's going to beat, like, you know, a striker like that via strikes, but we'll see.
Okay, all right. And then the last fight I wanted to cover is one of the guys I really love, Mark Giacchese versus Lando Venata.
Which guy is the guy you really love, though? Because I'm a little taken aback.
Bone Crusher, Mark Giacchese.
Really? Because I really love Lando Venata. How do you not love him?
I do. I just sorry.
You like the guy who's underperformed?
No. Well, yeah. I guess it's out. I mean, the truth is, it's out of pity, and
what do you like about him? His red hair?
I know what I like about him is that he's overcoming adversity and that, you know, things haven't come super easy to him, and he just got a really tough win after all these losses, and he's, you know, I just like to see a little bit of overcoming adversity, and not everything's perfect in your life.
Lando Venata's had adversity. He's overcome it great. He fought Tony Ferguson on like 7 days' notice.
Okay, that's
Almost
true.
beat him.
Why are you trying to make me feel bad about taking? All right, you're making me feel
Because
like
when
a
you
jerk.
said you loved this guy, I was 100% sure you were going to say Lando, and then you said Mark. So I'm a little taken aback.
Well,
Okay.
I just feel sorry for Bone Crusher. Okay, we know that he doesn't crush any bones.
Well, anyways, who are you picking?
GKC. I think it's a very close fight. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's super close. Avoid this fight at all costs with betting.
Yeah.
Avoid it.
Both of these guys are super unpredictable and up and down in their performance, so it'd be like really hard to get any read on this. Obviously, they're both strikers, but Lando just gets hit a lot too, so that leaves him open for certain things. Used a lot more game plan in his last fight, starting to figure it out. I'm expecting him to kind of try to maybe even institute some wrestling versus Diakiese and take him down, and maybe similar to his last fight. So I'm taking Lando Venata in this one, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say second round submission.
Ooh. All right. Yep, I got Bone Crusher, but we'll see. Okay, so are we ready to move on to the 3 Bellator events?
Yes, and the 2 in the same building on the same night.
And really quick aside, because I do believe this is super relevant, I remember being at Bellator 198 almost 2 years ago. This was in back when I lived in Illinois, it was in Rosemont, and the fight, the main event was Frank Mir versus Fedor, and the place was packed to the rafters, and people were going nuts. And I thought Bellator is going to be competing with the UFC very competitively within a year, 2 at the most. We look now that Bellator has been doing well, but it has not grown in the way I expected. And this is why. Because they're making business decisions like, let's put 3 cards into one weekend. Right. What are they thinking?
Well, I think I was texting with you back and forth. I think we'll start with Bellator Dublin because that's the one that's billed first. I believe it has to do with the time difference. So they want the Bellator Dublin card to air in prime time over there, and then whenever it switches over to Bellator 227, it'll be on prime time here. I'm not sure exactly what the methodology is. It seems like if they would have put all 3 of these cards together, they would have had a hell of a card on Saturday night, a very good card that would probably be more interesting than UFC Copenhagen if they were all in the same building on the same card.
Or wait, here's a really crazy business idea. Maybe they combine all 3 and put them on Friday, so you don't have to compete. Whoa!
Wow, crazy. Okay, so with that said, you want to hop into UFC Dublin, Bellator Dublin? Sorry.
Yeah, and I don't have too much to say about it. We all know, let's keep this real. We got James Gallagher versus a Can who, probably, I don't even know how to insult this Can. Roman Salazar, 13-9.
Yeah, let's just put it this way. He's in the main event of Bellator Dublin, and then when you go to the Bellator app, he doesn't even have a face.
There is no photo. That is crazy. He's fighting a shadow man.
He's headlining a card without a profile pic. So that'll tell you how relevant he is in the roster. All right, we're not trying to crap on him here, but we'll go to Michael Page versus Richard Keeley. Have you paid attention to any of the buildup of this fight, or do you just think this is another horrible matchup?
Is this like some kind of condescending trick question? I don't understand.
It is. There's some backstory to this. That's why I'm asking, have you paid attention?
Absolutely a little bit. Richard Keeley is a bum and has no chance. Listen, I paid attention enough to know that I didn't have to pay attention.
For these 2, did you know that?
Huh?
Bellator put on a press conference for these 2.
Did that get maybe 15, 18 views?
It got 1 for sure because I watched it. I was like, who is this guy? So
they probably owe you their lives. They need to invite you over to Scott Coker's suite.
So you're taking Michael Page?
Yeah, he's fighting a homeless dude off the street.
I don't think so. All right, okay. Bellator Dublin's a rough
Yeah,
card.
can we just please stop talking about that? That is the
All right,
worst
let's
of
go
the
to Bellator
three.
227. It's kind of a real card. We can lead it off with Benson Henderson versus Miles Jury making his Bellator debut.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and look, truth is, this is a good fight. This is a tough fight to call. I think it's very tough to call. I was very tempted to pick Miles Jury. That's what my gut was leaning towards at first. Thought more about it, and I think this is going to be one of those classic Benson Henderson in Bellator MMA split decision wins where everyone leaves pissed off.
I think you're absolutely right. Miles Jury just has a bad habit of underperforming in big spots. It's kind of followed him throughout his career, in my opinion, and it really started around the Cerrone fight. So, with that being said, I think Benson Henderson is as steady as they get. You know what you're getting with Benson Henderson. His strengths are what his strengths are. His weaknesses are what his weaknesses are, but I think he'll be able to push the pace, keep him up against the fence, nullify him, grind him out to a split decision victory. So, yeah, I think that's pretty clear.
Gosh, Benson is just the worst, ain't he? He's just the worst.
I like Benson Henderson.
No, I know he did a lot back in the day, but he's just Mr. Split Decision. You are going to be so mad you watched him.
Is there? Yeah, I mean, I pull for the guy. I'm going to say that he has got very vanilla in his older age, but we'll see.
Okay, the co-main is Kiefer Crosby versus Hugo Pereira.
I actually think we can move on to the meat of Bellator 228. We got a lot of listeners.
Wait, really quick, because I find this funny. The third headlining fight on 227 is Leah McCourt versus Carrie Hughes. Not only does so Leah McCourt's 2-1. Carrie Hughes does not have a face, and she's 3-4.
Combined record of 5-5 in that one.
That is correct, and I feel like I'm gonna vomit. So let's just move on.
Yeah, we're giving them a hard time here. Let's go to 228 because Bellator 228 is stacked, in my opinion. Lots to dive into here.
Agreed.
Patricio Pitbull against Juan Archuleta in the featherweight tournament and for the belt. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for letting me go first, Fight Geek. What a fascinating fight this is, but ultimately, this is what it comes down to. I think that we are seeing, look, Juan Archuleta is the bigger man. I'm well aware Pitbull's the double champ, but if you look at Archuleta's reach, it's longer. Archuleta hits very hard. He is an expert striker, and I question how committed Pitbull is, how focused he is on this tournament. He's got that other belt to fall back on. I'm looking at Archuleta via fourth round TKO stoppage.
Wow, really?
Yep.
Yeah, I like Juan Archuleta a lot, but I just don't see him having... He's just not quite as sharp as Pitbull. I'm going to take Pitbull by second round stoppage here. I think...
Wow, that is disrespectful.
Actually, I'm going to go third round. Well, I don't believe Archuleta has ever faced someone... who's his last opponent that he beat? Off the top of my head, I'll look it up. I got him right here. But Pitbull has fought elite fighters and beat elite fighters. I'm still not sold that Archuleta has beaten elite fighters.
Archuleta's damn good, man.
No, he's damn good, but the proof, his resume doesn't have a lot of elite names on it. It's just the way it is.
No, that's right. That's true. And the truth is, on paper, I can't even truly make a genuine case for Archuleta on paper. But you know what the fight game has taught me, Fight Geek, is that these fights aren't decided on paper.
They are not, but you have to use it somewhat as a gauge. So I'm actually going to say third round TKO stoppage by Pitbull.
All right, we disagree. I really do have Archuleta stopping him.
Nice.
New to start out the tournament.
That'd be very, very interesting. All right, well, that moves us on to a grudge match that's been a couple years in the making. Lyoto Machida versus Gegard Mousasi. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah.
Do you want me to go?
Oh, wait, do you want to go first?
Well, just Lyoto obviously looked amazing at 205. He just got done beating Chael, correct?
That's correct.
Which,
Yes.
I mean, it's hard to take a lot out of that fight other than you can still see that Lyoto has the elite striking technique. Obviously keeps himself in shape, so he's always going to be very dangerous on the feet and a little unpredictable. But with that said, Gegard Mousasi has just literally outside of his last fight been on an absolute tear. And I'm expecting him to really use, his well-rounded game to beat Machida. Sorry, talking it through here. A lot going on in my head in this fight. There's so many avenues to break down. But I'm going to go ahead and say that Gegard Mousasi by third round TKO.
Yeah.
And now, is this a 5-rounder?
I don't think it's a 5-rounder.
Okay. So, yeah, third round TKO.
Am I? But do you think I'm mistaken? I mean, tell me if you think I'm wrong.
Well, I know that I don't think you're wrong. I would like that fight to be 5 rounds, but
I know.
It
well,
was just wishful thinking.
That's the story of the Bellator life.
Right. So, yeah, I'm going to take Gegard Mousasi here. I think he'll be able to get a little more offense off. I think he'll probably win the clinching exchanges, and if they do get to the ground, I like his ability a little more, not because Lyoto's not credentialed on the ground, but because we just don't see him work there all that often, where Gegard seems to be a little more willing to work there. So I just think Gegard's a more well-rounded fighter at this point. I think Machida will fade a little at 185, and I think Mousasi will finish him.
Okay, and you're saying third round stoppage or submission?
TKO.
Okay. All right. I actually think that is a little bit kind to Machida. I mean, obviously, look, I'm not. Lyoto Machida is a absolute legend. But Father Time's undefeated. Okay, and I get it. He just beat Chael Sonnen. I mean, Chael Sonnen just retired. Gegard Mousasi is arguably one of the best fighters in the world. I still truly do believe that, despite his loss of the belt. And I think that he is going to get the stoppage early in the second round. Early.
Interesting. Okay, well, either way, it's going to be a barn burner. Should be fun. Two legends of the game. All right, brings us to AJ McKee versus Georgi Karatanian. And who do you got here?
It's so tough, man. I've seen AJ McKee live. I know that he's kind of like he's almost like the new MVP. But I was so underwhelmed. Like, he wins. He's kind of like the Leon. You know what he really is? He's the Leon
He's like
Edwards.
The 145 John Jones in a way.
Well, that's a very. I mean, I don't even like Jones, and I'm telling you that's a huge compliment to.
But I mean, the way they're building him. He's undefeated. He's very young. He doesn't have any holes in his game. He might not be the most flashy, but he's very technical.
Yep.
So he has a lot of. To a young John Jones, you could make the comparison, at least like from a skill set, not size and weight class.
Yeah, and I've got AJ McKee winning by unanimous decision.
Same here. I think he's going to outpoint Georgie, steer clear of him. He likes to fight at range. May not be the most exciting fight, but I definitely got AJ McKee here. Moving on to Daniel Weichel versus Saul Rogers. Got a pick here?
I got Weichel, but these are tough, man. These are tough fights.
Razor close fights, honestly.
I got Weichel. What about you?
Well, Weichel is obviously has 50 fights on his record versus 15, so he's going to be the more experienced fighter. Is he a little worn? I don't know. I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say here is the shocker. Saul Rogers wins this one via second round TKO.
Okay. All right.
This will be my flyer for the night. Don't have a real great reason other than Daniel Weichel's a little vanilla and just really hasn't impressed me lately. All right, now it brings us to an absolute amazing fight. Darian Caldwell versus Henry Corrales.
Bro, I love this fight.
So good.
I love it. Who you got?
It's going to be back and forth. I'm going to take Darian Caldwell by the slimmest of margins, and I think he wins via split decision. Obviously, he's had a little bit of mixed results lately, some ups and downs. Expecting him to come back as focused as ever. I think his wrestling will be a tad bit better, and he'll be able to win those exchanges, and that's why I'm giving him the split decision.
I'm so glad that you said that. You fell straight into my trap. Shootout at the OK Corrales is no joke. I'll never forget his amazing win over Aaron Pico. And I look to...
His amazing win over the 21-year-old.
Okay, shootout at the OK Corrales is going...
I knew you were going to pick him just so you could say his name.
No comment on the reason why I picked him and whether or not it's related to that, but it may be. Anyways, Corrales by second round knockout.
Really? Okay. That's going out on a limb, I'd say, but very, very...
Really? He slept Pico pretty good.
Pico's not a former title holder.
Yeah.
Horiguchi, who's a pound-for-pound fighter.
All Caldwell does is lose lately.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's going to get back on track.
We'll see.
All right. With that being said, moving on.
Yes.
I think that's all the recognizable fights.
Definitely. We got it. Yeah, absolutely. We're almost an hour already. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, folks, and then come back with listener questions and more. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude letting you know that this episode of the Split Decision Podcast is brought to you by TotalAggressionClothing.com. Visit www.TotalAggressionClothing.com and use the promo code 46210 to receive a special Split Podcast discount on all Total Aggression hats, shirts, hoodies, and more. Again, that's www.TotalAggressionClothing.com with promo code 46210. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 40, here with my always brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek, and it is time for my favorite section, the Listener Questions! Thank you. I appreciate that.
We're getting better at that.
All right, I'm
Hopefully
working hard.
We won't startle anybody at work or wake anybody's wives up with it.
Well, that may be happening.
Or maybe we will.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, all right. So, do you have a question, or wait? Shall I? I've got a few.
Yep.
Okay. This is from Billy the Kid. That's at 510 Cisco, and he says, "What fight will end up being the headliner of UFC 245?"
Dude, we got so much to cover, and we're talking about hypotheticals. I really don't know, man.
I think it's a fun question. Lighten up. Let your hair down, as Ariel Helwani loves to say.
About. We're always talking about, like, what if and who then. And, like, there's so much real stuff happening to talk about. I really have no idea. Go ahead.
Do you think it's going to be Holloway Volk or no? Or were they going to put a third fight?
Sure, let's roll with that.
Okay.
Sorry, I just don't think about as much hype. I don't think about all that. I just think about what we got each week.
Sorry, guys. Fight Geek doesn't like fun and imagination.
I just like covering what's really going on as well, you know. But no, good question. Volk versus Holloway is a great fight on any card. I'll take it.
Okay, well, my final guess is that... let me honestly think for a second here. Because they're not going to do Jones. It's not going to fit. His opponent won't be ready. So, and Stipe wants more time. I know they tried to make DC Stipe 3 for 245. That's not going to happen. I think that Colby, I may regret this. I think Colby is not quite as dumb as he looks. I think he'll come to his senses. If he doesn't, wow, what a dumbass. And I think Colby Usman will headline it.
Okay, well, you have it there. Colby Usman, 245. I got one pulled up from Kenneth Robert at Mr. Tittlewink says, who would the two of you match Poirier up with next? Looks like he's asking everyone in the top 5 to be his dance partner. Hashtag AskSplitPod. I think we covered this last week pretty much, but I liked the idea of him fighting Conor if he comes back, or Paul Felder makes sense to me.
Yeah, I like both those fights. Obviously, Connor is so annoying. It's so annoying to discuss Connor because I can even feel, guys, listeners, I can feel you guys rolling your eyes. I know.
It took us an hour and 4 minutes to mention him. We're better than 90% of the.
That's true. That's true. But, I totally get the fan sentiment. It's like, yeah, Connor, shut up and fight already,
Yeah, well, that's why it's better just to assume he's retired at this point. But obviously a rematch with Poirier makes perfect sense on paper at this point. But I think Poirier having a fight versus someone like Paul Felder to bounce back makes the most sense. I heard some rumblings about him going to 170. I do not think that would be a great move for Poirier.
Yeah, that's a horrible idea.
He's proven he's a top 5 lightweight in the world. He should just stay there. If nothing else, become the next Donald Cerrone or retire. You know what I mean? He's a fan favorite at this point, I feel like.
Oh, he's still young. He doesn't need to retire.
Well, yeah. No, he doesn't need to retire, but people were talking about when he got a little emotional, and he was thinking about this, that, and the other thing. But at 30 years old, there's a lot of fight left.
I mean, losing a championship fight's a very emotional thing.
100%.
Yeah, so he didn't mean it.
I like the Paul Felder fight. Honestly, I think that's a good fight.
Okay. I don't really disagree. Honestly, okay. I think that's good.
Cool. All right. So I got one here from Mr. B.
Mr. B
says, one UFC, one Bellator question. Do you guys think Santiago Ponzinibbio should have asked for a fight with Leon Edwards instead of fighting Robbie Lawler? Yes. Robbie Lawler's coming off some tough performances. Not sure what Santiago Ponzinibbio has to gain by winning that fight. Leon Edwards is much closer to the title. And then the second one, do you agree with that or what?
I mean, yeah, I think the problem with fighting Leon Edwards is, I don't know if you get any kind of cut from the ticket sales, but, if Leon Edwards is fighting, you maybe get 2 family members out of 14, the rest of the Edwards family saying they've got the flu, they've got, a backache. They're surely not going. I mean, they don't want to watch, their blood any more than we do. So right. There's not a lot of money in fighting. I'm being a sarcastic jerk, by the way.
Neither of those are going to be pay-per-view headliners, so I don't think that really plays into the equation.
But isn't Lawler? There's more money to be made fighting Lawler. Lawler's still a bigger scalp. Leon's so boring.
But that has nothing to do with your contract that's already negotiated. As far as what he should be worried about is fighting guys who are near the top. Leon Edwards and Santiago Ponzinibbio are both top 5, right?
Yes.
Robbie Lawler's a fringe top 15, 170er right now.
I mean, the truth is I agree with you. I can't really disagree with you.
So here's the second part of the question. If you haven't shared them already through the podcast, what's your thoughts on Leandro Higo versus Sean Bunch? Do you have a thought here? Sean Bunch was the guy who debuted, I think it was about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
It had a great performance, very athletic striker, looked like a star of the future, I believe. I like that fight. Sounds like a fun fight. Leandro Higo losing to Aaron Pico is aging horribly at this point.
Yes, it is.
So I would take Sean Bunch there off the top of my head.
Man, that's such a tough fight to call. But I've got to go with Bunch just because, like you said, the Pico loss, that is not a good loss.
Yeah, certainly not at this point. Okay. Moving on to unsolicited fight picks. He says, by the look of the pick, I might have my answer, but more excited for UFC Copenhagen or both Bellator cards. You mean all 3 of them? Ask Split Pod. So are you more excited for the Bellator MMA pot this weekend or UFC Copenhagen?
I think I can confidently, despite the insane amount of flaws in the 3 Bellator cards, it's such stupid business to have 3 cards in 2 nights. I mean, come on, Scott, you're a smart guy. But I think Bellator I'm more excited for.
Yeah, Bellator 228's 100% legit. That is the event of the weekend in the MMA world, in my opinion.
But Dublin is literally a hot piece of garbage.
Well, it's just a way for them to... It's basically like...
a prelim to 227.
It's basically when your rich parents just like throw an event for your kid to feel special. So this is like Bellator doing this just so Gallagher has a spotlight shined on him, literally to protect their investment in Ireland.
It's very interesting you say that. Rich parents throw a party for their kid to make him feel special. Isn't that Gallagher's entire career?
Enough said. Okay, let's keep it moving. But yeah, that's what it feels like. They're like, you know what we really need? We need, like, James Gallagher to win. He hasn't had a good performance in a while, you know? So they're like, what can we do? We'll just make this card that really doesn't matter, throw it on Friday night before a card that's much better, and, you know, it's like paying kids to come to your party.
I totally agree. Okay, this is from Larry Larmule61. He says, you won't like this. There's a video of Kane and Ortega calling Jeremy Stevens a puto for not fighting. I don't know if you saw this. This was Cage Side.
I did see this, and what they're saying has not been proven.
He said, do we need to like the athletes as people to root for them, or just interested in what they bring in terms of martial arts?
Well, while it is nice to like the person, I personally, and this is not popular, I think I've used the term moral police before. I'm not the moral police, and I can separate the art from the artist. For instance, Phil has a hard time separating John Jones's art from John Jones the artist, where I do not have that problem. Are
you actually arguing that Jones's thing is a facade and that he's this genius? Is that really your argument?
No, that's not my argument at all. What I'm saying
is a dumbass. Sorry.
What I'm saying is, but that doesn't affect my view on his fighting, even if I do feel that way.
You always wrote me into talking shit about Jones, and I never want to anymore, and you always trick me into it.
Do you not understand the metaphor? Maybe I used the wrong...
I mean, I know what you're saying, but that wasn't the best example.
So, yes,
Colby
I
Covington.
believe you can, in this world, you can learn to separate art from artist, whether it be an actor who has political views you don't like, or a singer who... has a checkered past.
Yeah, sure.
You can still like art and not like the individual. Now, if you have someone who you really love, like a Michael Bisping, you like the artist and the individual, or the art and the individual, that's when they become a phenomenon. That's when it's Jorge Masvidal. I was explaining this to someone today. Jorge Masvidal doesn't have to try to be cool. Jorge Masvidal is just a cool guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's all part of it, you know? That's when you really love someone, whenever you can love the individual and the art. But you can't separate them, is my point.
You reminded me of a really quick question, sidetrack here. Jorge Masvidal, I've been thinking about this UFC 244 fight, and you tell me true or false here. I think if Masvidal beats Diaz specifically, I think that Jorge skyrockets into a new level of superstardom that may even be on par with early 2016 McGregor. True. No?
But I think he would certainly be a top 4-5 draw in the UFC.
He is right now. He's right now a top 4 or 5 draw.
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, I mean, he's way up there. And if he wins that, gets a title shot, I mean, he may be one of the most identifiable guys on the roster. So
yeah, absolutely.
And, I mean, they love him. They got him on ESPN. The Dan Le Batard show. Dan Le Batard is Cuban. He has him on there a couple times recently, so he's getting all kinds of mainstream love as well, which is only helping.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay, have we asked the questions from Shane Terra?
No. Shane Terra. Thanks for the update on how to say the name.
Yes, I was just going to say, Shane Terra gave us a little bit, he was talking a little trash, but I love it, Shane Terra. He was like, yo, pronounce my name right. You know what? I respect that. Okay. We will, absolutely. I apologize for the mispronunciations in the past, Shane Terra. He says, who beats Khabib and why is Artem Lobov in bare knuckle boxing? Let me answer the second question first. Artem Lobov is in bare knuckle boxing because he's the greatest fighter of all time. He's conquered MMA. He hasn't lost a fight. He had to go to another challenge.
I've never been so proud of you, Phil.
Thank you.
And who beats Khabib?
Tony Ferguson.
We talk about this every week.
Tony Ferguson.
I mean, we'll see. I don't know. There's no way to know till we see it. I hate when we're like, he'll beat him, and this is happening 100%.
Well, yeah. No,
Nobody knows who's beating Khabib. No one knows what these stories look like. I'm sorry to be such a grouch today, but there's so much hypothetical. I just don't know. I just like watching the fights that we have to watch.
I know. I just need them to make it.
I would say, off the top of my head, I would say Khabib beats Tony, and then GSP comes back and beats Khabib.
Okay, that's interesting. Really quick. You think GSP beats Khabib at lightweight?
Yes, and I believe
No
GSP has
way.
been cut. I believe GSP's cutting weight now, has been cutting weight, has been with all the where there's smoke, there's fire. We've been hearing about this fight for over a year. GSP is the kind of guy who takes an incredible long play on everything. It could be 18 months of him in the making redoing his body. He's one of the only fighters, maybe the only fighter that is tested enough to go in there and handle that storm.
He's going to be so depleted at 55.
You don't know that. If he takes 2 years to get his body right, GSP is like, he has treated his body spectacularly over his career. So, I mean, you don't know that. That is just an assumption. Again, we don't know.
We don't know. What do you mean? Okay, you're accusing me of assumptions? How? Okay, you answer this, Fight Geek. How many 155 fights has GSP won? Tell me. Oh, I'm making all these assumptions.
Well, how many 185 fights has he won?
One.
Exactly, for a belt.
Yeah, against Michael Bisping. I mean, okay, whatever. I mean, I love Bisping, but come on.
Right. Different situation. I don't know. You asked for a hypothetical answer. I gave you one.
Okay.
All right, I got one from Glitch.
Go ahead.
MMA Ford. He says, will Usman get stripped for inactivity, or will he get a fight booked against someone else besides Colby due to negotiation? So will he be stripped soon? Yes or no?
I have a look. In my opinion, if he doesn't fight by 245, he must be stripped. Now, my guess is he won't be stripped until that 1 year period.
When is 245 again?
December 14th.
Yeah, he has till December.
I think they won't. I don't think
they'll strip him. I think they'll turn it into an interim belt at that point.
He is such a disgrace, ain't he? What a disgraceful champ he is.
I mean, I don't feel like he's a disgrace, but I just don't understand.
What do you feel like? Okay, if he's not a disgrace, what is he, a hero?
No, he's not a hero. He's a guy who's a little drunk off his own success right now. He just got the belt. He just beat Tyron Woodley. He's feeling himself. He's probably negotiating himself out of the proper spots. I mean, there's always a real answer to this stuff.
I know. I just think it's funny how Tyron Woodley won the belt and defended 3 times within 13 months, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, if he doesn't fight in 2 more months, strip him.
The MMA community is the hardest community to please. You're the best or you're the worst, and there's no in between ever.
I know, but so then Usman beats Woodley, and everyone's celebrating. Yay! Now we finally have gotten rid of the Wicked Witch. Well, you happy now? Are you happy now?
Well, now you got a worse version. So we'll
10
see.
times worse. A million times.
I'm not ready to say Usman's not the real champion. So
well, I'm getting close.
Well, what he's done on paper is damn impressive. So, anyways.
He's got to stop fighting on paper. He's got to fight in the cage. He's got to fight in the cage. It's not all paper.
This is true.
Sorry,
okay, moving on. We will go to Giggsy G18.
What up, Giggsy?
Who's better, Connor with Max's cardio or Kevin Lee with GSP's IQ?
It's easy.
Does Connor get Max's takedown defense too? Because if so, then he'd be unbeatable. But yeah, I'm going to say Connor with Max's cardio.
Yeah, come on. I mean,
yeah. But it's really Max's cardio with takedown defense. I mean, Max is incredibly hard to get in uncomfortable situations. He's always where he wants to fight. And obviously, he pushes the gas pedal late in fights like very few ever. Yeah,
and now I want to be careful. I mean, Giggsy, as you know, I love Kevin Lee. I think he's very disrespected. I think he can.
What do you mean he's disrespected? He loses fights, right?
See, this is what I mean. This is the disrespect I mean.
But who's disrespecting him?
You're disrespecting him right now.
I'm not disrespecting him. He's not a top 15 170 pounder.
I feel like we're on a reality TV show. You're disrespecting.
That is a fact. He's lost what? 3 of his last 4?
Don't see why you gotta say that. Why you gotta say that? Did you see him? Did you see him playing a video game in a car while not driving it?
When did you?
That's the heart of a champion, son.
Acquire this affinity for pink velour jumpsuits, Phil.
I thought he looked handsome when he was saying, "I know your mama bought tickets to Michael Chiesa." Ever since then, it's been love at first sight. All right, let's just move on.
You You hate Yair. You hate Reyes. You hate all these guys for obscure reasons, but then you love Kevin Lee. I don't get that. All right.
It's true.
Okay, so yeah, Connor with Max's
Yeah.
cardio certainly would be a
Max
problem.
cardio is better.
Jay Brookley asks, Screech versus Bagel Boss. Who you got?
Look, Screech. I love
Screech all day. Screech has like 14 inches of reach.
Screech, if you lose, you can't come back.
Is this MMA or boxing?
Does it matter?
I think they got to keep it boxing. MMA would just be them rolling around.
Oh, what's Bagel Boy gonna fucking put him in a submission? I mean,
well,
come on, what?
I mean, how's he gonna reach him? He could just put his hand on his forehead and push him away, and he couldn't even reach him.
But you know what I was thinking about really quick about this Bagel Boss guy or Bagel Boy, whatever his name is, this little dwarf guy. At first I'd think, oh my gosh, like fighting him would be so fun, so easy. But imagine the pressure. If you lose to the Bagel guy, you can never return to Earth again.
Screech has like a sex tape. I mean,
if you lose, but if Screech loses, let's just pretend Screech somehow loses.
I think Screech can parlay a loss into some notoriety, though. So it's a win in the end.
If he loses to Bagel Guy, he's got to get shipped to Mars. One-way trip.
All right, too much. I'm going Screech by knockout.
All right, that's
all right. Second part of the question. Do you have a prediction? I was just having fun.
Yeah, obviously Screech by knockout. I would like to hope, or he needs to get shipped to Mars.
All right. Also, if Aldo fights McGregor at 155, never will happen. But how do you think the fight goes down?
Not gonna happen. But actually, all right. This is unpopular. Kind of like McGregor's chances again.
Absolutely, 100%. You'd have Aldo, who has not bad cardio, but his cardio has shown to be a weakness to him at 145. Going up, adding extra weight would probably make his cardio even a little rougher. Conor would still be in his head, in my opinion, if they were to book that fight.
Yeah.
Jose, this would be like, he would probably feel like this would be the moment for him to like validate his whole career after what happened the first time. So he would put incredible pressure on him. And I think you saw what happens to Jose with incredible pressure the first time. He sees red and he charged across the ring with no game plan. So I think Conor would still have the advantage there. So you just saw for instance, Aldo has taken a couple stoppage losses to Max since then. He beat Jeremy Stevens, who stood right in front of him. Conor would not stand right in front of him. So I think all signs point to Conor winning that at 155.
Yeah, and for the record, everyone, I think Poirier and Gaethje would both whoop Conor's ass. So
Conor, I got kind of raked over the coals last week because I said that I claimed that Conor has been strategic and taken as many comfortable matchups as possible outside of the Khabib fight. I think that proof is that he's dangling a Frankie Edgar fight out there. I think that Conor is very strategic the way he picks his fights. And I don't think he would take Aldo right now at 155 based on the fact that he's floating other names. And yes, I agree. I would favor Poirier and Gaethje over Conor today.
Yep, absolutely. Did we read Kev C918's question, Kev?
Nope.
Okay. Kev says, if Brian Ortega beats the Korean Zombie, do you see him getting an immediate title shot again? Or is he going to have to fight someone like Zabit or Calvin Guitar? Thanks, and keep up the great work. Thank you, Kev.
If it's Max Holloway, see, here's where how much is Ortega going to get off beating the Korean Zombie when the Korean Zombie was just beat by Yair, whose stock is down now? So I don't think you can give him a title fight off of beating the Korean Zombie, especially when... this is tough. When Max beat Ortega so soundly, I don't think that there's a big clamoring for that rematch. Now, if Volkanovski were to beat Max and then Ortega were to beat Korean Zombie handily, I think Ortega versus Volkanovski could be a sellable matchup for a title. But I don't have the need to see Ortega versus Max again. I would prefer Ortega fight someone like the winner of Qatar and Zabit.
Not sure if you saw this, but Volkanovski, I don't know what he's smoking or drinking, but things are getting to his head because he said, "Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna give Max an automatic rematch after I beat him." So he is clearly looking far ahead of the fight. He's not training. He's not thinking. He's got it all figured out. It's going to be a walk in the park. And all I have to say, Alex, is good luck. Good luck underestimating Holloway. Have fun.
Yeah. I didn't hear that. Hopefully he's not looking past this fight. But it's going to be a great fight. That's going to be a tough one. Okay, I got one from Fighting With Myself podcast.
Yeah, Juice, what up?
What's up, Juice? And yes, Juice, I know you're throwing shade at me. Some of us have day jobs and can't be all over your podcast page 24/7. But I did hear you throwing shade. So
shade thrown back, rivalry beginning.
Your move, buddy.
Woo! I love it.
All right, here we go. His question is, what is one thing you wish you could change about the way fights are promoted? Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought about this.
Promoted. I think the one glaring thing, can I just cut in?
Yeah,
because
go,
I think
please,
you're gonna agree with me?
Please.
With so many great graphic designers in the world, why can't we get the sexy, cool posters that we want? The graphics, the matchup graphics. I think they use really lazy promotional graphics. It's a very small thing, but it's something that matters to me. They could hire someone like Boss Logic and have the most amazing graphics for all of these promotions. Things like that. Little touches. Like, for instance, I'm going to go out and say, like, tailoring the graphics and the promotion to the fighters involved, like the parental advisory element to the poster for Diaz Masvidal was awesome. I loved that. It shows that they were thinking next level on how to connect the dots from who these fighters are to the fan base. So stuff like that.
So really quickly, and I'm not trying to name drop or be a tool, but I've had the honor of meeting Boss Logic before. And he is, it's my understanding, everyone keeps saying, hire Boss Logic, UFC, what are you doing? Pretty sure he's taken. Pretty sure the UFC blew it and Marvel picked him up. So he's making them bones.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So the UFC blew it. And now he's just doing when he does the UFC fight posters now, it's purely for fun. He's making a lot of money from Marvel.
Well, good for him. But I use him as an example. There's a lot of other graphic designers and ways to design the graphics and the packages around the fighters a little more, you know?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Okay, this is quickly from Nathan. That's at @_web1212. If Yair refuses to give Stevens the rematch, should he be cut again? Because remember, Yair has history of being cut for refusing
but he was
stuff.
cut 100% unjustly before.
Debatable.
Again, he was being emotional. So I don't think he gets cut, but I think this fight has to be ran back. At some point, Yair has no leverage in this situation. So he wants to fight. He's in shape. I think the Boston card is perfect to run that back.
Yeah, I mean, I think the complaint there is people wanted it to be five rounds.
Well, who's the Boston main? Oh yeah,
No, it's Reyes versus Weidman. Now here's where I get really controversial, and people are about to get mad. But just hear me out. Maybe you make it the main event on the card that is currently J.J. Waterson. Now wait! Let me finish. Everyone's saying you're sexist. Oh my gosh, how can you say that? Listen, do we really think JJ versus Waterson is going to go more than 3 rounds? Let's be honest.
What we think is they would love to put those two faces on the posters as the headliners.
They can put them all over the posters.
No, because all the little graphics on ESPN and things like that are going to have the two guys' faces instead of the two girls' faces all week, which they're desperately trying to market Joanna versus Karate Hottie.
We all
100%.
know Karate Hottie's getting stopped inside 3. Let's be real. No?
I don't know about that, but I can't wait to get there. All right, we got a ton of questions. Let's keep it moving.
Yep.
I got one from Jim Asoon.
Jim Asoon! If you're not following, guys, follow the legend. Jim Asoon. I love
the
this
myth,
guy.
the legend, Jim says, so now that we know this will be DC's final fight in the UFC, who is next for John Jones then? He said he had news a couple weeks ago. Ask Split Pod. What do you think?
Well, first of all, Uncle Jim, I just have to say, I was very hurt. You threw a little bit of shade at me last week, and I noticed that. He was saying, oh, Fight Geek, you're so great. Phil, you're okay too. Uncle Jim. I thought we're family, dog. That's
so
how you're going to do me?
sensitive.
I am sensitive. What's going on, Uncle Jim? I didn't like that. I was sad. I was upset. Anyways, what was the question?
John said he had some.
Oh yeah,
news
who's next
about
for
a fight
John?
a couple weeks ago. Who's he gonna fight next? Yada yada. He's gonna fight the winner of Weidman Reyes next.
Or Johnny Walker, Corey Anderson, if Walker sleeps Anderson in impressive fashion.
Which I don't. Gosh, that was.
What? What's wrong?
I don't know. I don't love that fight.
You don't like Walker versus Jones?
No, Walker versus Anderson.
Why?
I
do.
Know. Just doesn't do a lot for me. But
Walker's gonna mess him up.
And I don't think. I mean, does that get him a title shot? They're like overlooking Anderson big time. But beating Anderson gets you a title shot doesn't make a lot of sense.
People are saying Anderson deserves a title shot now.
If Chris Weidman gets a big win, Chris Weidman versus John Jones on the billboard is the best name you could put up there. If he has an impressive win.
I know, but
you could bill it as former 185-pound champion, comes up, wins his 205 debut impressively, 1-0, and gets a fight against John Jones.
Okay, wait, let me segue, because this is literally like a second part of the question. Did we answer Aiden's question about Weidman?
No.
This is at xaidenc_. This is Aiden. He says, so Chris Weidman has won 1 in 5 fights. Last time he won was in 2017 against Kelvin. If he loses his next fight to Reyes, do you think he should retire? And he used the hashtag AskSplitPod.
This is a tough one because even though it's 1 in 5, it's not the kind of 1 in 5 that you saw during like BJ Penn's career. Weidman was winning the majority of those fights when he lost. Called him fluky, let his guard down for a second or whatever. But it's not like he's been badly outclassed. With that being said, if he takes a brutal knockout at 205, it doesn't leave a whole lot of options for him other than something like a Luke Rockhold rematch at 205 or something like that. Does he retire? No. But if he has a bad showing now, I think you see the writing on the wall. But if he has a big performance, I think you can write some of that off for as you age, you have a harder time cutting weight. I think you saw his cardio was affected in most of his fights, his most recent fights anyways. The Yoel Romero fight, he was winning and caught a hellacious flying knee to the temple. If he has that win on his resume right now, along with the Kelvin Gastelum one, and then what is the other one? He was beating Jacare pretty soundly when he caught a monstrous shot right on the forehead. So he could easily be 3-3 in his last 6 with wins over Kelvin, Yoel, and Jacare.
Yeah, although I will say this, and as you know, I'm a biased DC fan, and I was getting in an argument with a lot of people earlier today because I was saying, oh, DC was winning the Stipe 2 fight until he wasn't, and a lot of people were calling me out for that, and honestly, rightfully so. I agree it's a little sketchy when you're saying, oh, he was winning until this, until that.
Right. But
I mean, the fight's the fight, and he didn't win.
True, but it's not like he was getting completely outclassed. He was. You have to weigh a loss, for instance.
Yeah.
The way Luke Rockhold is losing makes you think he should retire.
Yeah,
The way Chris Weidman is losing makes you think he needs to make small adjustments so he can get to that finish line and win these decisions that he's controlling. Much different.
Yep, absolutely agree. Okay, did we take the question from Cyrus about Robert Whittaker?
We have not, and have we figured out, is it Cyrus or Cirrus?
It's Cyrus. I love my voice.
How do you know? Did he tell you?
Yeah, I talked to Cyrus. Listen, Cyrus is a good friend. Cyrus can
has he told you verbally? Have you heard it?
No, I didn't call Cyrus on the phone. Hey, Cyrus, it's Phil from Twitter. How do you say your name?
Cyrus is Cyrus, right?
I'm pretty sure it's Cyrus, dude. Okay. And I feel like we're like pissing him off even arguing this.
Let us know, buddy.
Okay, so he says, with Robert Whittaker's coaches saying Robert is like GSP but a better version, if Robert beats Izzy and then Costa, where does Rob stand amongst the greats? A lot of ifs.
The greats of all time or the greats at 185?
I mean, I guess both are one. I mean, I don't know, whichever one's more interesting.
I mean, Anderson Silva's way up on that mountain.
Silva had, yeah. I mean, you know what I'm gonna say. Again, I don't like to harp on drug stuff, but when it's 2 or more, I do, and he's 2 or more, so that really hurts.
But it's 2 or more during his 7-fight losing streak, during his prime and his 14-fight title defense streak, or no, he did. What did he? 12 or 13.
It was a lot. Yeah, it was a ton.
And it was the non-USADA era.
Yeah, I know. No, he was great.
It was the Wild West, which means you cannot disqualify his achievements during that era.
I agree. I actually agree, everyone. Just, you think I hate all that stuff.
A huge mountain to climb, because Anderson Silva in his prime is arguably the greatest fighter to ever grace the planet. So that is a hard level to reach. If you look at resumes, GSP has the better resume, but I think when you look at Apex peak, Anderson Silva is still who you look at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think that Rob, although his strength of schedule is hellacious, it still needs probably a handful more of title defenses to get on that level of an Anderson Silva, who washed a whole generation of middleweights.
Yeah, I mean, I still remember watching live it was the main event. It was Whittaker versus Jacare, and Whittaker was getting so disrespected and overlooked. It was he was ranked 13 or something against 4. And
that was the first fight where I saw the elite version of Robert Whittaker.
I mean, he almost beat Jacare to death.
Well, that's when he came in and he was really moving it, bobbing back and forth in his bobbing. His footwork had taken the next step. And since that fight specifically, funny you bring that up, he's been incredibly elite. But that's only 4 or 5 fights ago, where Anderson Silva went on a 13-fight winning streak, had the belt, and beat Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
I mean, Whittaker he still has a long ways to go. But Robert Whittaker, if he gets through Izzy this weekend and Costa in an Izzy rematch, that sequence right there would put him in very high esteem, make him easily a top 5 middleweight of all time.
Oh, easily.
So the top 5 middleweights of all time, to me, are Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman, Rich Franklin, and Robert Whittaker, and probably Yoel Romero, or maybe a prime Luke Rockhold.
So Whittaker's at 4. Whittaker's at 4 already.
Well,
and yeah, I agree.
But the guys ahead of him are titans of the game.
I mean, yeah, but look, we can get into. I don't want to get too sidetracked here, but again, really quick, I think Tyron Woodley is a better welterweight champion than Matt Hughes was, because strength of schedule.
Well, but then you see Jorge Masvidal knock out someone like Darren Till, and Pettis knock out Wonder Boy, and then is that strength of schedule really that impressive?
I mean, it's so much more of it. You know how much this game has evolved.
Devil's advocate there. I mean, you could go back and forth on that kind of stuff all day.
Yeah.
Do I think Tyron Woodley was in his apex prime, the better fighter? Probably. But
yes,
do I think Matt Hughes could have found a way to win versus Tyron Woodley? Absolutely.
Wouldn't that have been such a great fight in their primes?
It would have been. Well, I think Matt Hughes would have worn him out.
Man, in both their primes, that would have been fun.
Yeah, it would have been fun. Well, it would have been great to have GSP come back and fight Tyron instead of Michael Bisping, in my opinion.
Well, GSP he knew what was going to happen. He couldn't get away from that. Okay, never
All
mind.
right, we're getting so sidetracked.
Yeah, we
Okay,
are.
let's see what else we got here from Ray Rodriguez.
Ray.
He says, I think Kron Gracie would easily beat Team Khabib the second he takes him down. And I firmly don't agree with that. But that's a hot take if I ever heard one.
Yeah, Ray, I love you, bro. But
Kron Gracie has had, 5 MMA fights in his career?
That would never happen in 5 million years.
And Khabib has lost 1 round out of 90. So, I just don't see that happening.
But Ray, having said that, because I don't like mocking picks without putting something on the table. Ray, if that ever happens, please come back to us, and I will put up the most humiliating cover photo for 6 months that you want.
In the second part, he says he also thinks Nate Diaz has the perfect style to beat Ferguson in a 5-rounder, but think Tony Ferguson would win a 3-rounder. What do you think? Tony Ferguson wins a 3-rounder all day, and I think that if it's at 155, I just don't see Nate beating Tony. I would say they both make it to the bell, but Tony has everything Nate has when it comes to cardio and versatility.
You think Nate makes it to the bell at 55?
Who stopped Nate?
Tony Ferguson will stop Nate.
Conor couldn't stop him at 170, hitting him in the face multiple times on that left side. Dropped him 3 times, couldn't finish him. Nate Diaz is an incredibly tough guy to finish. I don't think Tony would finish him because Tony's not a power puncher. He's an accumulation striker, which is the same thing Diaz is. I would take Tony in an epic split decision.
Wow, you think it'd be that close, huh?
Oh, I think it would be a battle. Both guys would be in there till the end. I think it'd be back and forth late in the fight, but I would take Tony in a 3-2, maybe 4-1.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
But great question. Thanks for giving us something outside the box. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
definitely.
Got one.
Thank you, Ray. You're the man, bro.
From Derek Lewis's Hot Balls. What steps should the UFC take?
I love Pixie. She's one of my favorites.
Show regular. What steps should the UFC take to minimize eye pokes? Go.
Great question. Yeah, I think this is really clear. I think that what you do is you give a very firm warning the first time. Now, with the Yair Rodriguez versus Jeremy Stevens eye poke, that was a rare one where it was very bad. I don't think Yair did it on purpose, and I'm not saying he did. But he let's say Jeremy could continue. If I was the ref, absolutely take 1 point immediately from Yair, have the crowd boo. I get it. Everyone's upset. He got no warning. But that is such a good deterrent.
Yeah, I think it needs to be, in these fighter meetings prior, I don't even think there should be a warning because the warning is too late if you already had a finger
in your eye. Your friggin' eyeball.
Yeah, and you're in a combat situation where your peripheral vision and your vision in general is incredibly important to your defenses. Mm-hmm. So in this fight specifically, it's did you want Jeremy Stevens to go fight a Taekwondo master who throws stuff from all different angles that you don't see with perfect vision, let alone not perfect, damaged vision? I mean, he would have been a sitting duck in there. So I think in the fighter meetings beforehand, I think it should be a hard line point deduction for eye pokes. That will plant the seed in the fighter's head pre-fight to eliminate anything that may consciously cause an eye poke. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I totally agree. Did we answer Driver? That's at Baby23 Driver.
Nope. Go ahead.
How Zombie versus Ortega go down? I got Zombie via knockout in the second round.
That's a main event, right?
Yes.
I see Zombie putting hands on Ortega over a long fight, similar to the Yair fight with the back and forth trading. Ortega can trade. I think Korean Zombie's good enough in scrambles to stay out of trouble on the ground, and I think he wins a split decision over Brian Ortega right now. But,
all right.
Okay, where are we at? I got one from Jalen Ware.
Jalen Ware, what up? Yeah, he opened. His question was so good it opened our show a few episodes ago.
Yep, here's one. He says, what fighter in the UFC in any division can seriously challenge his division's champion? And you can't name Ferguson. So I think there's a handful here.
I've got an answer in my head, honestly, and it's going to surprise you.
I think Joseph Benavidez can beat Henry Cejudo.
Okay, that's not what I was going to say, but that's not a bad answer.
Since he already has.
Yeah. Did you see that fight? Did you score it for Joey? I didn't.
I did.
No. Henry won that fight. Okay, all right. Well, fine.
So, I've got one. What's yours?
Mine is, and I don't like saying this, obviously. Mine is Adesanya beating Whitaker.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Costa could be a champion someday, too, if he has the ability to beat the champion, especially based on the way he beat Yoel.
By the way, I love Whitaker. Whitaker forever. I hope Whitaker kills everyone. Or not really kills them, but beats them all badly.
Rob forever.
Rob forever, EVA.
All right. So, yeah, I think Joseph Benavidez, Israel Adesanya, I can't say Tony Ferguson. I think Justin Gaethje could win. I mean, that's a very small possibility.
Colby could beat Usman. Sorry, everyone, but it's true.
I mean, Volkanovski could beat Max.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And whoever is facing Zhang Wei Li next could win strawweight. I'm not yet convinced of her.
Yeah, so I mean, I think there's a lot of them, but good question. Okay, one of the last ones here. Rich asks, and I don't even want to answer it, but Rich, he says, you guys think Conor drops back down to 145 to fight Frankie? No, I do not.
He can't. Yeah, guys, listen. Conor cannot make 145 anymore.
He put on too much muscle. He looked like death when he was cutting when he was 26. He's not going to be cutting now that he's getting into his 30s and had put on all that weight, muscle for 170.
Oh yeah, and I've got a secret for everyone. Hey everyone, Conor cuts hard to make lightweight. That's right.
And the thing is Conor wouldn't go to 145 to fight Frankie because then he'd be giving up some of his advantage. At 155, Conor's going to be enormous compared to Frankie, have reach advantage, and be very comfortable in the striking game.
All right, wait, I'm glad you brought that up. Hang on, side question. True or false? John Kavanaugh coming out and saying a few days ago that he wants Frankie Edgar to be McGregor's return fight. I think, in my opinion, that screams Kavanaugh saying, I have no belief in Conor. He's a drug addict. Please give us the easiest fight.
Well, that's a little disrespectful to Frankie Edgar, who's a Hall of Famer and former champion.
I understand, but come on now.
There's no guarantee. First of all, Frankie Edgar could take Conor down, in my opinion.
I understand. This isn't about dissing Frankie, it's about dissing Conor. Conor's going to take on the littlest guy that called him out of everyone.
But I just don't like it coming across like they're picking Frankie because he sucks. First of all, it is an advantageous matchup for Conor to bounce back. It has no relevance in the grand scheme of his title aspirations other than I feel like they think it's an advantageous matchup.
Let me put it this way. If McGregor-Edgar is next, I lose a ton of respect for Conor.
Well, I mean, if you've been following Conor outside of the ring or the cage, you have any respect left for him?
I mean, I've been reading his coked out tweets where he makes no sense.
Right. So this would go right along demanding a Frankie Edgar fight, right?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully his heart doesn't explode from all the drugs he's taking, but...
No, he's a family man. He just took a picture with his wife, with Dee and the kids.
He found time to take a picture with the girl that's not his wife that he banged up and had a kid with like 4 years ago?
All right, too much.
Sorry, my bad. He's been very loyal to Dee. Very loyal.
Gloves was here asks, every time I see a pro boxer now, I think any guy over mid-level BJJ would take him down and make you their B. What do you think?
As someone who very proudly went back to BJJ after 3 months off last night and had the time of my life. I can tell you this is 100% true. Sorry, boxers, don't have an aneurysm. BJJ beats boxing every time.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I would.
What are they gonna do? They don't know what to do.
That's true. Once they get to the ground, for sure. But you just better.
You got to get them down. Yeah, you got to get them down.
You better make sure on that entry you don't catch an uppercut.
That's
or something
true.
Real flush.
That's very true.
Yeah. So I would say yes. Yes, that would be the best base for that matchup.
I had a blast. I went back for the first time in 3 months, Fikey, last night. I had a great time. I did decent. I thought it was gonna suck. I mean, I didn't do well, but okay, whatever. I'm bragging now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just end
Glad
it. Next question.
Okay, I think this is the last one. It's Instagram. We're going on 2 hours now.
Instagram. Yeah, but it's been worth it, baby. Yo, it's episode 40, baby. It's a special one.
Neil Butcher 1 says, I inadvertently caused some shit on Twitter saying I didn't like WWE. Cozying up to the UFC with The Rock wrapping the belt around the BMF winner. What are your views on this? So the BMF belt and The Rock putting it around the winner is a 2 WWE for you. Go.
The whole BMF belt is WWE, brah. I think that I already said, I mean, look, the truth is I don't really care. I don't think that 244 needed a BMF belt. I think that's tacky. I think they should have just assumed that it was for the BMF title. They didn't need to make a belt.
Yeah, it's getting a lot of press, so it's actually worked as a perfect promotional tool.
You don't think it's tacky? You don't think it's tacky?
No, it is tacky, and it's certainly outside the realms of what we know from the UFC as a promotion, and I think that's why there's some kickback. But again, like I mentioned with the McGregor-Mayweather belt, the Emerald belt, or whatever they had, there is a time and place for some of these like eye candy belts that aren't necessarily the title holders, but you got to make sure it's clear what they are. I think they are being clear about this, so I don't really think it's that big of a deal, especially considering Dana has been pretty stern about like the lineage of the belt just being this fight. It's not like they're going to have the winner defend it, because then it would get really weird and confusing to fringe MMA fans.
Yeah, very true. Okay, are we done with the questions without looking at it too much? Because I'm going to do a rare thing. We are approaching 2 hours, so I feel like we got to call it. Guys, if we didn't answer your question, at me, DM me, or Fikey, yell at us. We will retweet it, and we will make sure we make it up to you. But we are out of time, folks. Thank you so much. And Fikey, take it away, baby.
All right, guys, 2 hours in. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, and Stitcher, and more. I'm at the Fight Geek MMA. He's at Phil the MMA Dude. We are at Split_podcast. That's 4 words. The Split Decision Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you next week.
Peace.
Peace.